I never thought something like this could happen in my neighborhood. You know the kind, quiet streets, trimmed lawns, friendly waves. A place where people say good morning and smile while walking their dogs. Nothing ever really happens here. Or at least, nothing you'd expect to go viral. I live alone, mostly minding my own business. I work from home, pay my bills on time, and don't bother anyone. Everything was fine. Until one month, my electricity bill came in nearly double what it usually is. At first, I figured it was a mistake. Maybe the company misread the meter. Happens sometimes, right? But when I called them, they confirmed the numbers. I checked every appliance. Nothing unusual. I wasn't running a crypto mine in the basement. No AC cranked 24/7. No faulty wiring. I even checked the water heater. Still nothing. I brushed it off as a one-time fluke. But then, the next month the bill was even higher. That's when I started paying closer attention. I made a list of when I used the oven, the washing machine, even when I turned the lights on and off. I became a bit obsessive, to be honest. Something was off and I could feel it in my gut. And then one night I noticed something weird. I came back from a walk around 10 p.m. and as I turned the corner toward my garage, I saw a faint glow, like headlights. But my car was off. And it wasn't coming from the street. It was coming from the side of the house. I walked over slowly, heart already beating faster. That's when I saw the long black charging cable snaking from the outside power outlet, my power outlet, straight across the lawn to a Tesla parked next door. It wasn't even parked in my driveway. It was in the neighbor's driveway. Karen's driveway. I froze. My mouth actually dropped open. I wasn't even mad at first. Just confused. Who does that? I unplugged the cable. Walked back inside. Didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I knocked on her door. Now let me tell you about Karen. She's the type of person who acts like she owns the block. She's loud, always complaining to the HOA, telling people what plants they can grow or how long their grass can be. She once tried to report a neighbor for having unapproved holiday lights in December. No joke. When she opened the door, I tried to stay calm. I asked as politely as I could if she'd been using my outlet. She laughed. That sharp, dismissive kind of laugh. Why would I use your power? That's ridiculous. I told her I saw the cable. That it was plugged into my house. Her smile vanished for a second, just a flicker, but then she tilted her head and said, "Oh, that? My husband must have plugged it in by mistake. He probably thought it was ours. Sorry." Her husband moved out a year ago. Nice try. But I didn't argue. I just nodded and left. The next night I checked the side outlet again. Sure enough, the cable was back. Plugged in like nothing ever happened. She was stealing from me. On purpose. And acting like it was nothing. I considered calling the police. But I knew how that would go. Small claims, long wait times, nothing serious. The HOA? Karen practically runs it. Complaining to them would be like shouting into the wind. So instead, I bought a small motion detecting camera. One of those little ones you can mount with tape. I placed it near the outlet and let it run overnight. The footage? Clear as day. Karen, around midnight, sneaking over with the Tesla cable, plugging it in and walking away like she owned the place. I had proof. Now, I wasn't just angry, I felt violated. That was my home. My electricity. She was walking over like it was hers, taking what she wanted and thinking she'd never get caught. There's something so frustrating about being taken advantage of. Especially when you try to handle it the right way and get lied to in return. It's like getting slapped twice. The first time when they steal from you, the second time when they pretend they didn't. I replayed the footage over and over. I couldn't stop watching. Each time I saw her plug in that cable, my jaw clenched tighter. But I didn't want to blow up. I wanted a solution that would actually work. So I printed out screenshots from the footage and went to the next HOA meeting. I waited through 40 minutes of boring updates and arguments over lawn colors until they opened the floor for resident concerns. I stood up. Calm, polite, controlled. Then I handed them the photos. Some of the members tried to brush it off. One even laughed and said, "It's just a bit of electricity, right?" That's when I laid out the bills. Month by month, showing the spikes. Hundreds of dollars over time. All while Karen charged her luxury car on my dime. That got their attention. Karen was there, sitting 2 seats down. She looked annoyed, not embarrassed. When they asked her if she wanted to respond, she just shrugged. If it happened, it wasn't on purpose. Maybe it was a mistake. Still lying. I left the meeting with promises that they'd look into it. I knew that meant nothing. Sure enough, the next night she plugged in again. That's when something inside me snapped. It wasn't rage. It was resolve. I'd had enough. She wanted to keep playing games? Fine. I had a few ideas of my own. So I did some reading. I talked to a friend who's an electrician. Then I got to work. I wasn't going to break any laws. I didn't want to hurt anyone. But I did want to make sure that the next time she tried to steal my power, she'd seriously regret it. That's when the real plan started. I made sure everything was legal. Checked it twice. Even asked for a second opinion. And I waited. Because I knew she'd be back. Every time I passed that side outlet, I looked at it like a trap set in a cartoon. Not obvious. Not dangerous. But ready. Karen had no idea what was coming. And the next time she came sneaking over at night with her cable, thinking she'd get free juice for her Tesla. Well, let's just say things didn't go quite the way she expected. I knew she'd be back. It wasn't even a question at this point. Karen had tasted free power and she wasn't about to stop just because she got caught. That's the kind of person she is. The kind who thinks rules apply to everyone else. The kind who smiles to your face while helping herself behind your back. I didn't touch the camera. I left it right where it was, recording everything. I wanted more evidence. Not that I needed it, but a little extra never hurts when you're dealing with someone this slippery. The next night, like clockwork, the cable was back. I didn't confront her this time. No knocking on doors. No calls to the HOA. I just watched. Let her dig her own hole deeper. And each time she came back, it was with more confidence. She wasn't even trying to be sneaky anymore. One morning, I actually saw her Tesla already plugged into my outlet before I'd even had my coffee. In broad daylight. Like it was hers. That was the moment it became clear. She wasn't afraid of consequences. She really believed she could do whatever she wanted. The HOA didn't scare her. I didn't scare her. The law. That was something for other people. So I stopped playing nice. But I still kept calm. No yelling, no threats. I just started doing my homework. I found out exactly how much a Tesla pull from a standard home outlet. Turns out it's a lot. Leaving it plugged in overnight? Even more. Multiply that by multiple nights a week, and she was draining enough to power half my house. I also found out that constant, unauthorized use of someone's power source is considered theft in many places. Real theft. With real consequences. But getting the law involved was tricky. Slow. And honestly, I didn't want a drawn-out legal mess. I just wanted her to stop. And maybe feel just a little of the frustration she dumped on me. I called a buddy who's an electrician. Told him what was going on. He laughed. Said he'd heard of petty neighbors, but this one took the cake. Then he paused. Told me something interesting. There's a device, legal, safe, totally fine to use on your own property, that can create a power trip. A momentary surge that doesn't harm your home, but anything connected improperly or with cheap protection. Well, let's just say it won't be happy. He didn't tell me to do it. But he didn't tell me not to either. I ordered it the same day. When it arrived, I felt a little nervous opening the box. Not because I was scared, but because I knew once I installed it, there was no turning back. This wasn't just catching her on camera. This was action. Direct. Final. I installed it carefully. Triple-checked the setup. It was wired to the external outlet only. My stuff? Totally untouched. And unless someone was literally stealing from me, they'd never even notice it existed. The next few nights, nothing happened. Maybe she was out. Maybe she sensed something. Or maybe she thought I'd finally given up and let her win. But then one night I heard the click. My camera pinged me. Movement detected at 12:46 a.m. I opened the feed on my phone. And there she was. Karen, in slippers, robe tied tight, dragging her long black Tesla cable like a tail behind her. She looked around once, half-hearted, barely even checking. Then she plugged in. And that was it. She turned and walked away. 30 seconds later, the surge hit. Now, I want to be clear. This wasn't some huge explosion. No sparks, no smoke. Just a short, precise disruption. Enough to mess with a sensitive system. Enough to confuse a charger. Possibly enough to blow a fuse, or worse. I watched the rest of the night, wide awake, staring at my screen. Around 3 a.m., the Tesla headlights blinked twice. Then went dead. By morning, it was still there. Still plugged in. But now, dark. No blinking lights. No charging symbol. At 7:15 a.m., she came outside in a rush, keys in hand, coffee cup in the other. She opened the door. Sat inside. Then popped right back out. Walked around the car. Unplugged the cable. Tried again. Still nothing. She started pacing. Pulled out her phone. Called someone. 20 minutes later, a tow truck pulled up. I watched from my living room window, sipping coffee like it was a movie. Her car was loaded up and hauled away. And just like that, karma had rolled through my driveway. The best part? I didn't even have to say a word. Later that afternoon, I got a knock at the door. It was her. Sunglasses on, arms crossed, lips tight. "I know what you did," she said. I smiled. "Did what?" "You damaged my vehicle. That's a felony." I raised an eyebrow. "On my outlet? That you used without permission?" "I got video, Karen. Lots of it. Every night. Every plug-in. Every lie." She shifted. The confidence cracked. Just a little. "I'll report you," she snapped. I held up my phone. "Open the app." Showed her a still image of her, mid-plug, time-stamped, clear as day. She didn't say another word. Just turned and stormed off. A few hours later, I got an email from the HOA. A formal notice stating that unauthorized use of a neighbor's utilities is grounds for penalties under community rules. She was being fined. Repeated offenses could lead to further action. I didn't even have to attend the meeting this time. The video did all the talking. But it didn't end there. Karen stopped speaking to me after that. No waves. No fake smiles. She even started parking on the other side of her driveway, away from the outlet. I haven't seen that cable since. Every once in a while, I catch her glancing at my house. Usually at night when she thinks I'm not watching. I always smile. Not out of spite, really. Just satisfaction. Relief. Because for weeks I felt powerless. Like I was being walked all over, taken advantage of, ignored. But now, I'd taken back control. Without yelling. Without revenge. Just smart thinking and a little spark of creativity. And honestly, watching her Tesla get hauled away was a memory I'll treasure forever. Not because I hate her. I don't. But because some people only learn when the bill comes due. And that morning, hers finally did. The Tesla didn't come back for days. Karen was quiet. Almost too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you wonder if they're planning something. Or maybe just nursing their bruised ego behind closed blinds. I didn't let my guard down, though. The camera stayed on. The search device stayed active. The outlet? Still mine, still protected. 3 days later, I saw a different car in her driveway. Not a Tesla. Just a basic sedan. Probably a loaner. She wasn't smiling anymore when she took the trash out. No waves, no passive-aggressive small talk. Just stiff silence. It was kind of peaceful, actually. But then, something strange happened. One morning, I got a knock at my door. Not Karen this time. Someone from the HOA board. His name was Bill. Older guy, kind of grumpy, always fidgeting with his tie like it's choking him. He asked if he could come in and talk. I was suspicious, but I said sure. We sat at the table. He looked uncomfortable, like he wasn't sure how to start. Then he cleared his throat. "So, there's been a complaint." I didn't say anything. Just waited. He said Karen had filed a formal grievance. Claimed I had installed hazardous electrical equipment and tampered with the neighborhood's power system. I almost laughed out loud. Instead, I stood up, walked over to my laptop and opened the folder. The one with all the footage. Labeled dated clean. Plugins. Power usage. Even the timestamps of the surge that just happened to line up with her car suddenly dying. I didn't even have to explain. Just turned the screen toward him. He watched for about 30 seconds. Then sighed. "Well, she left all of this out." I nodded. Of course she did. He stayed another 20 minutes, flipping through the files like a bored librarian. By the end, he apologized. Said I'd probably hear nothing more about it. That Karen had a reputation, and I handled it better than most. Better than most? I didn't know what that meant at the time. But I'd find out later that Karen had been stirring up problems for years, barking at neighbors for unauthorized landscaping, threatening lawsuits over noisy sprinklers, even filing noise complaints when kids rode their bikes past her house. But nobody ever pushed back before. That night, for the first time in weeks, I slept like a rock. No pacing. No checking the camera. Just quiet. Then came the morning that sealed everything. I was outside watering my plants when a truck rolled up, branded with the Tesla logo. 2 guys stepped out and knocked on Karen's door. I couldn't hear what was said, but I watched the whole thing. They opened the Tesla's hood, popped off panels, ran cables. One of them shook his head. Karen stood there, arms crossed, barking something. Eventually, they towed it away again. Later that afternoon, I saw her pacing her driveway on the phone. Loud enough for me to catch pieces. Fried it completely, warranty won't cover it. Said it was a power issue. They think it came from the source, not the car. I kept my face neutral, but inside, I was doing backflips. She wasn't just embarrassed now. She was losing money. And not just small money. Repairs on a Tesla battery system? Thousands. She was learning the hard way that stealing comes with a price. sometimes a literal one. A week passed. Then another. The new car stayed. The Tesla didn't come back. One day I noticed something odd. She had a contractor in her yard, drilling something into the wall. A brand new charging port, on her side of the property. Installed professionally. Finally. I guess she realized the free ride was over. But I wasn't done yet. I bought a locking cover for my outlet. Nothing fancy, just a metal case with a key lock. Installed it in under 20 minutes. And just for fun, I made a little sign. Private use only. Not HOA property. Not for public charging. In small print below it. This outlet is Karen proof. I didn't hear anything from her about it, but I caught her reading the sign once. Just staring at it for a good minute, then turning and walking away without a word. That was the last time she even glanced in my direction. Weeks went by. No more stolen power. No more lies. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that feels earned. I didn't do it to be mean. I didn't do it for revenge. I did it because sometimes people need to be shown that actions have consequences. Karen thought she could take without asking, lie without guilt, and walk away without paying. But the world doesn't always work like that. Not when the person you're stealing from is patient and prepared. Some of my friends think I went too far. That I should have let it go. That it's just electricity. But it's not about the power. It's about the respect. And after everything she pulled, after the lies, the denial, the entitlement, I think the surge that fried her car was the most honest response she ever got. Because for once, something finally told her no. Loud, clear, and unforgettable. Even now, months later, she barely leaves her house. Doesn't attend HOA meetings. Doesn't complain about Christmas lights or recycling bins. It's like that fried battery short-circuited something in her too. And honestly, I'm okay with that.